Hey friends, what is up? Derek here from Bomb Socks, back with a new week of Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ, one bite at a time. So as we're getting ready to start John chapter 1 this week, and I'll tell you right off, John chapter 1 is a different chapter than most any other chapter in Scripture. It's very unique, and so it'll be fun to study this one with you this week. I want to start off actually with a little experience that I had back in the day when I was a missionary. Yes, about 30 some odd years ago, I served as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Fargo, North Dakota. I was actually up in the Dakotas and the neighboring states right there. My very first tracting door that I ever did, and this is the one that I planned out in my mind, as you're in the MTC, you're practicing it, you're trying to make yourself sound really good. So I went, my trainer took me to the campus of North Dakota State University, okay? And he's up there in Fargo, North Dakota. We go to this first door. It was kind of it was like a married student housing. And so we went there and I was practicing like this was going to be the best door approach ever, since, the first vision. This was going to be awesome. So I knocked on the door and all of a sudden I was basically face to face with a 6-year-old Chinese kid. And I said, "Hi, I'm Elder Crimin. I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm in your neighborhood sharing a message about God, about Jesus Christ and his plan." And this young man went, "What?" And I just said, "Hi, I'm Elder Crim," almost like Russell from Up. I was like, "Good afternoon." That was kind of me, okay? And so I went through this again, and this kid just kind of smiled, looked at me, and he goes, "I'm going to go get my dad." And so, I looked at my companion, and he's like, "All right, you're good." Pretty soon, this very kind gentleman, this Chinese gentleman, comes to the door. And I said, "Hello, I'm Elder Crimin, missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints." I went through the whole thing. This man smiled, and then he looked down at his son, whispered something in Chinese, and they whispered something back and forth, and he said, "My dad said that you can come in." And so I quickly realized as we went into the house that I was going to be having any conversation we're going to be having with this gentleman and his wife is going to be through this 6-year-old boy. And I thought, okay, this should be fun. So I pulled out the Book of Mormon and I started kind of sharing them. This is Nephi and this is Lehi and here's Ammon and this is Samuel the Lamanite. This is Abinadi. I'm showing all the cool pictures, the Arnold Freeberg pictures in the copy of the Book of Mormon. And I'm going through there and I'm explaining this to him. I probably spent maybe 5 to 10 minutes on this, and this young man is sharing the story to his father and so forth, so it's going through a 6-year-old to his dad. After a while, this guy whispers something to his son, and his son just says, "My dad doesn't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, oh, okay. And so this is where my companion, he'd been out 20 months, he's a seasoned veteran, he's like, "All right, Greenie, let me see what I can do." And so he gets into there, he basically does the same thing for a couple minutes, and the Chinese boy stops and he goes, "Just so you know, my dad understands what that's all about. He understands who these guys are. Your companion explained that." I'm like, "Yeah, your companion explained that." So anyway, what happened is this man grabbed the Book of Mormon, he's asked if he could have the Book of Mormon. He goes to the picture of Jesus Christ and he basically just whispers something to his son, and his son says, "My dad doesn't know who he is. Can you explain a little bit about him?" At that moment, here I was. I'd been out, a couple weeks as a missionary. My companion had been out several months, and we just kind of looked at each other. We're like, we'd be happy to explain Jesus Christ to someone. That's what we do. But we were just like, how do you explain Jesus Christ to someone who doesn't know who Jesus Christ is? And we were kind of like, what do we do? And so we did our best to kind of just work through the beginning. Like, here's God and here's Jesus. And we started from the very beginning. Now, we had a very pleasant conversation. I would love to tell you that this family got baptized and everything, and that didn't happen. But they invited us back later for dinner, and we just had some very pleasant conversations with them about the gospel and just giving them a basic understanding of who Jesus Christ is. Which, if you think about it, try explaining Jesus Christ to someone who's never heard of him before. That's a hard thing to do. Most people, I think, have a basic understanding of who Jesus Christ is, which is interesting because when you get into the Gospels that we've been talking about, the last couple of weeks we've been focusing on Matthew and Luke's Gospels. You get into John starts off his gospel in a different way than any other way, and we'll talk actually more about this in detail tomorrow. But I just want you to think for a moment, if you were to introduce Jesus Christ to someone, which again, we're on this earth to share the knowledge of Jesus Christ with other people. And sometimes you're going to come across someone who doesn't have a knowledge of who Jesus Christ is. And so as you're doing that, think about what you would personally do to start off a story about Jesus Christ with someone. That's something that as we're going through our episodes this week, and as you're going through John chapter 1, I do want you to think about how you would start your story of Jesus Christ. Where would you start with? Would you start with an experience that you had? Would you start with who he was? Would you start with who his father was? Would you start with an experience that he did? As you're doing that, like I said, just think about that this week as we're studying John chapter 1, about how you would explain your experience with Jesus Christ, because I think it's the best way to take us through this amazing chapter. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks as always for sharing these messages. We are so grateful that you do that. Please check out our amazingly wonderful gospel-themed socks at bombsocks.com. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Godspeed. Bye-bye.